What's up, Cowboys fan? D. Elliott here, letting you know my memorabilia collection is available on Fanatics.com. Check it out.
Shout out to the green badge, Tanya, right there. She said, "Let's go. That's a Cowboys win." First comment on the block. And also, the ladies are chiming in tonight. Brandy says, "Can we say ass whooping in all languages?" I need a Google translator here. Can somebody give me a Google translator on the line, baby? Them Dallas Cowboys whoop that ass, man.
Well, you want Bob the Cannabis Cowboy, a.k.a. B. Riley 88's take before I start getting all sweet and wonderful on your ass. I'm going to say that
go all the way in, Bob. Go in on.
Those are 19 points that did not effing need to be scored on our team. And I understand the way it happens. As I said before in the early broadcast, when a team is pinned up against a wall like the Colts were pinned up against the wall, they're going to come out hot. If this was any other team, we might have had a problem. The problem with the Colts, though, is they just can't finish. So we got lucky in that manner and put it on their ass. Most of my friends and I were talking about, okay, we're getting our butt kicked a little bit right now, more than we should. This halftime adjustment is going to be the most important part of the game, and I found that definitely to be true, because after that happened and after the unfortunate accident with AB, we actually turned a switch. The young kids came in, Bland came in, as you saw, went crazy and sort of wiped away all the stupid mistakes we were making for almost a quarter and a half at the beginning of this damn game, which a lot of us felt like that shit was falling out of our hands. I know it. But the Cowboys are just the defense is too good. This defense can carry a much worse offense into a playoff situation. And I don't know that there's a better defense in the NFL right now other than the Dallas Cowboys.
Well, I'll tell you, that second half was totally different than that first half. And, man, my goodness, 54 to 19. I said 40, Burton. I said 34 zip. You said 40 zip. But you're right. Those points, let's take a look at the numbers, man. That's
I'll give them one. I'll give them a run. I mean, that deep pass, I mean, they were trying us. They tried Anthony Brown, man, and they won. I mean, it's, they kind of deserved that one.
It's not any secret, man. If you want to go at the secondary of the Dallas Cowboys, you go after Anthony Brown's side of the ball.
Curse is kind of effing up too with some of his mistakes and just playing out of position and shit. Sometimes we have a little bit of a glaring issue there, I think.
So we got the stats up here on Google. As you see, Dallas Cowboys triumphant over the Indianapolis Colts. Great way to kick off a 3-game momentum swing, as we got the lowly Texans up next. And then the juicy Jaguars on the East Coast. Heading into Christmas Eve, we got the Eagles. I know the Eagles fans are shaking in their boots right about now, because if you see the way that defense, y'all don't want to see them Dallas Cowboys play. If we can play 4 quarters like we did in that second half, oh boy, we didn't clear the 400-yard total offense mark. We had 385 yards. We had 165 passing yards to 220 rushing yards, totally dominating the turf. Now, we didn't hold them to under 100 yards, but they only had 106 rushing yards. But it was the passing game, surprisingly, of Matt Ryan today in terms of Anthony Brown and his secondary that got them those points, I believe, in that first half. And I think that was the difference, because clearly, I think we had, 33 points scored in the fourth quarter?
Yeah, Sam's pointing out how the Eagles just beat the Colts by only 1.
Oh, is that right?
Because they just beat them by 1 point. I think it was last week, right?
Yeah, they actually struggled. The Eagles actually struggled against the Colts. I remember the Colts were up on them early, and then they actually had to come back and win that game. But we still got the Texans and the Jags before we get to them Dirty Birds. So Dirty Birds, keep handling your business. You see Dak and company today. Oh, y'all going to have to see it on Christmas Eve. Ain't no way around it. Dak is going to be coming home, baby. But here's your stats. From the game here, let's take a look at the team stats. I want to take a look at penalties. Dallas Cowboys did a great job in the penalty column in terms of discipline this game. We only had 3 penalties for 43 yards. That's a big swing from last game, I think, where we had 13 total penalties. So great job. We didn't have 7 going in to the first half, because right now we're averaging about 7.1 penalties per game. So we knew on the discipline side of the ball, we could get that done. However, turnovers were a thing today. That defense, I mean, 2 fumbles lost, 3 interceptions thrown. I mean, Dak could have had a couple of interceptions on his own too as well, although he had 1. But again, you got to be happy about this Dallas Cowboys team. I told you we own that third quarter, and coming out in that third quarter, you know, they set the pace going into the fourth quarter. We actually owned the fourth quarter more than any other. 33 points in a quarter. Where else have they done that at? Caitlin's tapping in to let us know.
I'll tell you this is I'm giving a big middle finger to all the folks in my fantasy teams, my fantasy leagues that laughed at me when I drafted the Dallas defense in the 5th round. I was already confident that they were going to be able to put up points more than some offenses, which they actually are averaging more points than some offenses. But, you know, man, it's really, really good to have this kind of thing because, you know, we didn't really have this kind of defense for a long time. We haven't. When was the last time we had a defense that could bail our offense out? Dak has a very, very good offensive line in front of him right now. So really the mistakes that are happening are mistakes that he's causing, i.e. these forced passes, interceptions that are behind. You know, CD is doing his best to make me look like an idiot because I wasn't sure that he was ready to be a number 1. And he's damn well definitely a number 1 right now. May not be, you know, the guy you can always go to, but he always seems to be open. But the problem seemed to be coming from Dak right now, just trying too hard to do shit. And I get it. He's trying hard to do stuff and force the ball in there, and that's okay. The defense is bailing him out. Had this been any other year, you know, people would be calling for his head. But at this point, our defense is doing so many amazing things that some of these mistakes on offense are being kind of erased. And I'm all right with that. And Dak will clean shit up. I know that too. So these are the kinds of games that I think we need to have. And this is the stretch that we're looking for, as I said before, in December, man. We're chomping at the bit, man, knowing next week is another pretty good game that we could probably win. And just set ourselves up for a really successful end of December and January, man.
Yeah, all the stars are aligning, and that's pun intended. Shout out to my man, Mickey Velasco over there on LinkedIn. Appreciate everybody tapping in on all the platforms. We're live on Facebook. We're live on LinkedIn. I served in the Navy with Mickey. Mickey's a big Raiders fan. I know he's happy. I think the Raiders beat the Seahawks this weekend up here for the first time, and I don't know how long. So shout out to Mickey. Appreciate you tuning in. We're live on YouTube, and we're live on Twitter. Brandon says 33-0 in the fourth quarter alone. Yeah, pretty amazing stuff here from the Dallas Cowboys, but the question will remain as we have the Texans up next on the slate. I don't want to look past the Texans just yet, but they're having a pretty lowly season. But again, as you've seen the Dallas Cowboys come out in the first half against the Colts, that was that game I was talking about. We couldn't get caught up in. I'm glad that they came back in the second half. Well, right before right before going into halftime with that Malik Hooker interception, which led to that touchdown, actually switched that momentum. And I think, like you said, that switch. And then, you know I talk a lot of mess about Anthony Brown here. Hopefully Anthony Brown is okay. Prayers up. Don't want to wish any injury on anybody. But it didn't get any better when Kelvin Joseph came in. And quite frankly, Deron Bland looks like he may be making a name for himself.
Hey, man. To have a kid come in and two, I mean, he could have had 3, right? I don't know, man. Me and my wife were high-fiving so many damn times. Our hand was sore. It felt like the old days. Honestly, man, if you were alive in the 90s, you understand what I'm talking about. It was just score and coverage and fumble. And it's been like that for a few weeks. And I think just for a second, maybe right now, Cowboys fans, just close your eyes for 1 second and enjoy what we have right now, because it just hasn't been like this in such a long time. Whatever may happen moving forward, be happy with this freaking defense. It is sick. It is terrifying. And we are laughing all the while other teams are like, oh, shit, man, we got to play these guys, bro. I don't want to. This is stupid. I can't. There's like 9 guys that could kill you on the team. This is what we need to just take a break and be real, real happy about, because this kind of stuff doesn't happen to Cowboys fans, man. So enjoy it. Laugh. We go to work tomorrow with a smile, man.
Yeah, Brandon said he got that Dallas D at 1-4 for his league today. I don't doubt it, man. 5 turnovers, all them points they scored today, man. They was going bonkers out there. Mike Rock, big time Green Bay supporter up here, Pacific Northwest, checking in, says Dak needs to use his legs in certain situations and not force it. Other than that, he's good. I haven't seen Dak do too much running this year at all, really, to be honest with you. And I think because of the weapons around him, I believe, and then also maybe They don't want to put as much wear and tear on him as a Hurts. Now, I'll tell this, Philadelphia Eagle fans, all that Hurts business, running up and down the field and getting touchdowns is all great until something happens to him like a Jimmy Garoppolo today.
Yeah, and again, props to Hurts and his ability to run, because it's a machine thing. He's ridiculous. He'll kill you. The same thing with homeboy over in Chicago, man. These guys it's a new breed of quarterback. It's been that way for a while. But can any quarterback out there outperform this defense? I don't think so. I don't think that that Hurts is in that kind of position really to be able to run around against this defense like he is in a lot of defenses.
The key to going to be stopping Hurts is contain the edges, and that's it. If our guys cannot bite down, they're gonna let old, what's his name, the running back, Davis, what's his name, Anderson, I can't remember his name. Anyway, Hurts, he's the running back. They're gonna just let him try to run around everywhere. All they gotta do is pinch the edges and make him beat us with his arm. Because Dak ain't, you know what I'm saying? He's not that good. Jalen Hurts is not that good. He's not gonna be able to beat us with his arm. And if the Cowboys are going to be able to contain that, we'll be able to do that. They got 106 rushing yards on us today. You got to respect the running game of Jonathan Taylor. I mean, that's really basically all of the game the Colts had, except for the passing game where they targeted, like we said, Anthony Brown side of the ball, a couple of big plays there, a couple of explosive plays that were the difference and made the points get on the board for the Colts. But this defense, you're right, the defense not only is going to be able to win a championship, we got to win this division first. But before we get to the Eagles, we cannot look past the Texans, who we have on December the 11th. That's next up. That is at home, the third game home. And then the Dallas Cowboys will travel on the road to the East Coast, the Beast Coast. Shout out to all them Cowboy fans on the Beast Coast. It's going to be a big-time function there at the Jaguars game, so stay tuned. We're going to have some more details coming on that for all the Cowboy cousins. There's going to be boots on ground out there.
Yeah, this team is definitely coming together at the right time. The one thing that I think we found today, which is a bit of a problem, is that secondary. It can be a little bit of an issue, not all the time. We saw Diggs get burned on something kind of stupid, man. That one kind of pissed me off a little bit more than any other one I've seen him lose it on. But at the same time, I do think that the secondary, with what Deron Bland added to the secondary today at that nickel corner position, kind of taking over what Anthony Brown was doing, I think we may be all right. I think we may be okay. Can we lock down some of the great wide receivers out there? I don't know. But like you said, we can't go all the way further down to Christmas Eve right now. We got to keep talking about next week, which is the Texans, right?
That's correct. We got the Texans next on deck at home. Then we have the Jaguars on the road. Then we have the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, but celebrate tonight. Okay. The celebration tonight is definitely the defense being ridiculous. Being able to bail out Dak and some of the dumb things that he did tonight, on top of some of the smart things he did, and the fact that that we didn't really need to have him run around too much. I think when people are asking why isn't he running too much, man, we got Pollard and Zeke. Like it's too much to game plan Dak to run the ball, even in red zone positions, situations and goal line. It's too tough. I think they don't want somebody blocking down and falling on his ass and rolling over his ankle. He's done for the year. Like, it makes no sense to really do that anymore. Does he need to run it sometimes? Yeah, I think more than often than anything, he needs to throw it away. He does try to fit it into some places, but again, this is a victory day. We've got a great defense. We've got the ability to win on all phases, and going into a game next week against another NFL team with a win like this is monstrous. It's huge. We cannot overlook it.
You can't. You're right. And thank you. Who was that tapping in right there? That says, Jose says, not many penalties tonight. You're right. We're going to get to this Caitlin comment. We only had 3 penalties for 43 yards, well below our season average of 7.1 penalties we've been averaging. Caitlin says, Victory Monday, hashtag. That's right. Looking forward to Victory Monday tomorrow. And on top of that, quite the showcase for a certain wide receiver visitor to spend the week being wined and dined by the organization. So if you're just tuning in and you may not know, OBJ met with the Giants and the Bills, according to news reports. He's set to meet with the Dallas Cowboys at the Star in Frisco tomorrow. And as you see Caitlin talk about whining and dining there, the plan is they're going to roll out the blue carpet for OBJ. They even going to take him, Parsons is probably going to take him out there to go see Luka Doncic. Luka Doncic, big-time Cowboy fan. They got a Mavericks game there against the Suns. So, of course, they're going to wine and dine OBJ out there. So look for the Stars to come out tomorrow as the Suns and the Mavs play. And, Luka's got to love that. Luka, big time Dallas Cowboy fan, in case you didn't know.
And I know that a lot of people are saying bring OBJ. My biggest problem here is money, money, money. We're sitting on like $9 million right now. Next year, we're only slated to have about 11 if we don't make any moves at all. It's not a great position to be in when we have so many players ready to go out of contract. We got to talk about Zeke. We got to talk about Pollard right away. And then we got to talk about other players. We've got to draft. I mean, this is not getting ahead. What I'm saying is really at this point right now, the game plan I think that we have for this offense is really where it needs to be. It needs to be tweaked in our minds a little bit more, but I'm just glad I don't have to come up with the money and how to spend the money on this team right now, because I feel like we're going to get OBJ and then we're going to be wondering how we're going to get all these players. I don't know.
I feel exactly the opposite, exactly because the salary cap, boys, just to what you're talking about. I mean, we got Tony Pollard coming up. Essentially, we're going to have to negotiate a contract with him. Zeke's money, the majority of that's already been paid to him. What's going to happen with him? Is he going to take less? Dak, is he going to restructure? The Cowboys are the king of restructuring contracts. But that is the reason, one of the big reasons why I don't think we signed OBJ. I mean, I want the guy. Don't get me wrong. I'm not pro OBJ, but when it comes to these salary cap, boys, I will tell you, I'm going to be highly surprised if Jerry Jones breaks out the pen and actually signs an OBJ, because there's still some reports out there that OBJ may not be healthy yet, as we've seen him come out in the media and say he ain't practicing for nobody. No videos, none of that. He's just trying to get a bag. So a lot of questions needed to be answered. So make sure you turn on your notifications. We'll learn more here in the next 48 hours. I'm going to keep my pulse on it. But I don't think we get OBJ, and because of the reasons of what you said, we've got too many players to look forward to playing to, and they've been saving them pennies for a rainy day. Steven and Jerry, them salary cap boys, they've been saving for a rainy day, and I don't think it's got anything to do with OBJ.
Yeah, I think we're gonna, we got to go forward and game plan for what we've got right now anyway, and we planned on having James Washington to be part of this offense. I don't know if we started putting plays in for his ass, but I know that we definitely planned on getting him in here to make up for the fact that we got rid of Cooper and made some other moves.
I think when we signed him, Bob, because you're right, we let Cooper go, a clear-cut wide receiver one. We know a lot of behind that was he's had too much money wrapped up in his contract, and he didn't get that shot. So with that being said, they had to let Amari Cooper go. But, skipping over here to what Brandon's talking about, he says, Pollard better get paid or I'm going to croak. We can't even get that far yet. We got to find out, do they got enough money to pay OBJ? And if they pay OBJ, my question has been, if they sign OBJ tomorrow, my question is, can he play against the Texans on December the 11th? That's this next Sunday. Because if he can't, I'm just going to say it's a bust, man. I'm just going to say it's a bad liability investment. And I would not think that the Dallas Cowboys would do that if clearly they knew, because he didn't want to work out, they could put two and two together. I mean, nobody's even really talking about the plane incident on when he had to come off because of a medical issue. I mean, did we get a medical report on OBJ? Did somebody find out? Is he really okay, or what?
I mean, I've heard if you listen to some of the so-called experts, they will tell you that this move, if it is going to happen and does happen, is not necessarily for this year at all. Is for a future and for after an off season with OBJ on your team. And for me, that just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. It makes more sense to OBJ than anybody in this freaking whole situation. That's for sure.
Jerry speak. That's Jerry speak. What you hear Jerry talking about, we've got to have it this year. Right. I think that's Jerry subliminally talking to Odell in his camp saying, look, bitch, you're going to have to sign this year if you want to play. If not, you go somewhere else. We need it this year. So if in fact Odell is not ready to play, maybe that's why there's some questions there. We don't know. Maybe Odell will be ready to go in the playoffs. Maybe we'll have him. He could be a expensive decoy toy for them boys over there or something. I don't know. But it's just too many odds stacked against in this OBJ matter. I think it's been a whole bunch, a lot of cap, baby. But I could be wrong.
I mean, it's insane to say that he wouldn't be a great addition. He bring a healthy OBJ, which we haven't seen in a while. It can do some good things for you, and he did some good things in the Super Bowl before he went down. But at the same time, I don't know. When we're talking about making a run There's other places we could have courted positions in order to make that run. We could have gone after maybe a safety or looked to trade to get a safety and before a free agency deadline and trade deadlines and stuff like that. We didn't do any of that shit. We sat and said, what we have is what we have. And that was the staunch, hard line that the Joneses took. So for me to think that they're going to be going hard for OBJ right now, I don't know. For some reason, it seems like more of a dance than anything else. But until the numbers come, yeah,
that's just a whole bunch of cap. If you ask me, I'll go eat crow. I don't give a damn. I ain't got a problem saying that I'm wrong. If they sign OBJ, I'm gonna be screaming, we going all the way. But I just don't think when it comes to financial piece, because we've got too many players like Pollard and everybody. And getting back to your point with James Washington, when we signed James Washington early on, we didn't even know if CD was going to be a wide receiver one. And I remember in the beginning of the season, everybody was, is CD wide receiver one or not? So if you're watching here today, I need you to comment and let me know where are your thoughts. Is CD Lamb wide receiver one right now? Because if I'm CD, even though I may be out in the media courting OBJ because it's good for business, because Boss said that's what we got to do, then so be it. But if I'm CD, if I'm Michael Gallup, especially after Michael Gallup's game today, if OBJ comes, that means somebody going to take a little bit of food off my plate. And I might not want that, especially during this holiday season. I know it's better to give than receive, but you follow what I'm saying. I don't think Jerry Jones is going to get loose in the pocketbook for this OBJ mess, man. But only time's going to tell. We're going to have to figure it out.
And how are you going to start a guy who's had 2 ACLs in front of a guy who's only had 1?
That part, a lot of he didn't got to that. Signing him is one thing. That's why I said if we sign him, is he eligible to play against the Texans? If not, why the fuck we signing him?
Well, I think he's from what I remember, I think cleared to play is eligible to play. Able to play, should play, are probably much different than those two.
Play on words. Cleared medically is different than ready to fucking play.
Yeah.
I know me and you were there, but for everybody tapping in here today, Arturo says, yes, CD is wide receiver one. Aaron Bailey tapping in says, CD is absolutely wide receiver one. If OBJ comes, he needs to know it's not 1-2. My question is this. If we even sign OBJ, what number he going to be? Because MG 13, Gallup, right? It's 13.
Yep.
Anthony Brown is number 3.
Anthony Brown's 3, yeah.
I mean, what OBJ going to be number? He can't be number 1. What, he going to be 0? I don't know. There's some things that I think about, when I lay down at night. Not that it really matters, but I mean, to big players like that, especially with a guy that has 17 million followers on Instagram, they're going to have some diva type mentality coming in. And that's what I'm scared most of, is his diva mentality going to outweigh his mentality to want to win and mesh with these guys and come in, maybe eat some humble pie. Understand, you not the dude, but you want to come here because we're going to pay you and you can come along for the ride.
Yeah, there's a lot that word when I see people talking about OBJ, that's invariably the word that pops up all the time is diva, diva, diva. That's some shit we don't want to deal with. When you think about OBJ out of our equation, if he were to not exist at all, there's already enough shit going on within our team that needs to be kind of sewn up and put together and tightened up, and screws that need to be tightened up a little bit before even putting that guy in this situation. If he starts causing problems, that'd be one thing. Damn well they'd cut him out. But at the same time, you never know. He has the penchant of doing that, but he also has the ability to blow a game open with a play when healthy.
Of course.
We just don't know.
Of course. I mean, you're not going to be able to line up one-on-one. You're going to have to shift the defense. You're going to have to respect them. And with guys like OBJ, MJ 13 and CD, oh man, that's Top Gun type shit for Dak Prescott right there. There's not enough balls to go around. But like my man Sherman says, tapping in, he says, you got to understand Jerry Wayne. He'll sign OBJ just on the strength of the spotlight that he brings with him. That's why I keep talking about that whole bunch of cap shit. I still think that they won't sign him and he's doing the snake oil thing. But we'll find out come tomorrow or in the next 48 hours or not what's going to partake with that.
Clearly, he's blossoming into a star. Yeah, I think CD definitely won me today, especially that hit he took while going up in the air. I always worry about him. He seems so skinny, but he's a tough son of a gun. I'm still not fully ready to give him. Oh yeah, he's definitely a number one. He's our number one. I get that. and he's breaking plays wide open. I'm just so over the damn screens, the wide receiver screens, man. I know I talk about it every week. Gallup had made it happen today. That's cool. And CD did it twice in a row. It was amazing, or more of a handoff. But I don't know. Man. I think as a wide receiver, it's tough to guard that guy. He's fast. He gets open real fast against linebackers. It's stupid to try and put a linebacker on that kid. So he does cause some pretty good matchup problems. So, anybody you add on the wide receiver core, whether it be a James Washington or an OBJ, I think it's just a great addition to an already two-pronged, scary wide receiver situation with Gallup and CeeDee Lamb. So whether one or not, I don't think it necessarily matters. I think you can put Gallup at 1-2 and have CeeDee on the other side. They're both going to produce, especially for the money we're paying them.
Right. Aaron's tapping in. He says, I got a solid question. What was OBJ with the Rams? He wasn't a wide receiver 1. He was a wide receiver 2. I think Cooper Kupp was wide receiver 1, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Coop was.
Yeah, Cooper Kupp is out now with an injury. Or the Rams talk about being dismantled after one season. Ooh, they backed that Brinks truck up, and they got all them folks over there injured, and man, that whole division is trash right about now. Matt Stafford is injured. They had the backup quarterback injured. Man, if you're a Rams fan, boy, it is short-lived. That's why they call it NFL, baby. Not for long, and it ain't going to be not for long until these Dallas Cowboys put another whipping on the Texans and the Jags. I mean, my man's tapping in here. He says, no one on YouTube, appreciate that. Love all my YouTubers over there. Thanks for hanging out. No one will beat Dallas the rest of the year. Super Bowl champs, Philadelphia Eagles, better luck next year. I love my man's energy on YouTube over there. Make sure you like and share this over there, baby. Appreciate that, Wade.
They had that boy Van Jefferson over there, that young kid. I think he got hurt, right? Because he just came back recently for the Rams. So I felt like he was 3, if I'm being honest, which is why when we're talking about OBJ coming in, I think WR3 is something that he's already been pre-hit with and probably okay with, if I'm being honest, especially if he ain't going to come out there and practice or show anything, like, shit, you're going to be our WR4 and we're going to pay you WR4 money, but that's not really how that's going to work with him. He's going to command some fucking money.
Yeah, I'm almost going to think, maybe the fix is in. There's been a lot of talk here lately about the NFL being rigged. We've touched on that here with the penalty. I don't want to be a homer. There's just been a lot of games that I've seen that, have a lot of question marks. But if Gary's going to have a year to rig it, if we sign OBJ, I hope maybe that's going to be the sign. It's rigged for them boys. Because I don't even want to talk about it. We signed OBJ. You know what I'm saying?
That would feel too real.
Like a conference championship game, if you know what I'm saying. So they're going to have to be careful with what they're doing, especially playing with the chemistry in this locker room with those guys that we've got on this slate now. We've seen all of the Cowboys come out openly recruiting OBJ. And that's what I've been saying. Are the Cowboys owner and the staff and the players all complicit in this bullshit campaign spree to recruit OBJ to help keep the lights paid for the NFL, the water, and all them bills we've been talking about?
Let's not forget there's another side to this too. There's a bit of a shuffle that's about to happen, and we saw a little bit of a pre-shot of it tonight with Jason Peters coming in at left tackle and sliding our boy Tyler Smith over to guard. Which is gonna be the plan moving forward when Tyron comes back. So that's another thing that the whole thing that I've been always talking about in my years of being a fan and watching football, no matter what team you are, is when you have something going right, effing with it sometimes, whether you move pieces around, whether you think they're going to be successful or not, sometimes screws things up. Now, the reason why Tyron Smith is going to go back to that left tackle position is because he's a multimillionaire at that position, and he's probably one of the best ever. So whether the person who's playing is doing better than him or not, it really doesn't matter. You're holding the spot for him, basically, because you're a rookie, first of all. And this guy, Tyron, has been doing it at an all-pro level for years. So he's going to come right in. But while that's a good thing, sometimes it's not a great thing. So that's something else we need to kind of worry about and get ready for, the continuity issue with the offensive line, which has been an astoundingly good offensive line compared to what we probably thought it was going to be at the very beginning of this season, which probably wasn't very good. So beyond that, do we want to add more shit to worry about? Do we want to add more about, why did we just pay this guy this much money when he's he can't even play for the next 2 games or 3 games, or maybe he can be there for a playoff game? There's just such a good amount of stuff that's about to pop right now when Tyron comes back, and I just I don't know that having adding an OBJ situation to it all is a smart thing. But you know what? That's just more eyeballs on the Cowboys, and we know what that means. It means money and ratings. And
Well, I mean, it would be kind of a cool deal if they signed OBJ because the Dallas Cowboys could beat the Texans. We can beat the Jaguars. And then we go in with OBJ on Christmas Eve against the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Eagles continue on their winning spree. I'm telling you, I'm just going to call it right now. If that's going to be the case and we get to that, it's going to be over 50 million. That 42 million we seen on Thanksgiving Day, the viewership record that was broken, most watched NFL game ever on Thanksgiving. Matter of fact, most watched NFL game ever that happened to be on Thanksgiving. Also, 42 million viewers. We're going to see at least upwards of 50 million viewers.
Look, what's everybody going to be doing? It's Christmas Eve. Nobody's going to be doing anything. They're going to be watching that game straight up, especially if they hate the Cowboys. Then they're definitely in front of the TV watching the freaking game. So, yeah, you're right. I think it's probably going to be the most watched game ever. It's certainly, if you're a Dallas Cowboys fan, going to be the most watched Dallas Cowboy game to a fan, definitely. I can't even think of another game before or after that game. I'm sweating it so hard because it's such an important matchup. And I think even if we win that game, we're still one game behind Philly, right?
No, because Philly would have beat us. I don't know what that tie today, if that matters, but I believe
that helped us for sure.
I don't know. We're going to take a look at the records in the NFC, and I think beating Minnesota. I don't know. There's some way that you got to. Yeah, we hadn't got down, kicked that can down the trail yet. You bring up a good point. So any of our smart Cowboy fans here tapping in with us today, we beat Philly. I'm assuming we win the division at that point, but I don't know the way that these NFC cards line up and these conferences and that type of stuff. So where are all those conference and those division gurus at out there? But we know one thing: the NFC East is paying the NFL's light bill, the trash bill, and the water bill, and we're gonna probably pay the whole fucking mortgage come Christmas Eve, because if we sign OBJ and the Eagles continue to win, that's going to be a global phenomenon.
Oh, shit. It is going to be the likes of Marvel versus DC kind of shit, man. 100%. Dude, yeah, I don't know. Again, I think it's great. I just don't know where's this money going to come from, dude. I have no idea unless they've already said, look, we got Dak here is going to restructure and all this other shit, which, I mean, if that was the case, why didn't we make any moves in free agency to make that happen? I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
I
the good thing
we
is
signed James Washington because we didn't know if CD Lamb was going to be wide receiver one. We had let him already go, so that was out. Then, we went through that here too.
He was the Band-Aid.
Receiver behind CD Lamb until Gallup comes back. Now Gallup's back and been healthy. So Gallup, you got still Dalton Schultz. That's the safety blanket of Dak Prescott. We've seen Peyton Hendershot come in. You got the ground pound there's so many options on this field. And as a result, you can see the Dallas Cowboys put 54 points on the Indianapolis Colts. Now, this is the same team that the Philadelphia Eagles had problems with. They had to come back and beat them on. So I don't know if that means anything, but I know one thing. If Jalen Hurts continues to run, the odds are against him the longer the season goes and in the postseason. If he continues to put up 100, 200 yards on the ground himself a game, it ain't going to be a good look. And predominantly, like I said, coming up against the Cowboys, we can seal those edges. Hurts going to have to beat us with his arm. Then he's going to have to worry about being the most pressured quarterback with that defense coming out. So with that 47 sacks after today, the Dallas Cowboys lead the league, 47 sacks, I believe.
Yep. So we're absolutely insane, man. I'm just going to be, I'm going to let myself be okay with being okay with it, man. I don't know. This is the best defense in the league, and this defense is outrageous, man. And to have someone like Deron Bland come in, not virtually out of nowhere, we know this kid had to step up. We've seen him do a couple things and make some good plays over the last few weeks anyway, stepping in on rotation and shit. But this kid came in and made 2 picks after Brown went down, dude. Like, that's what that is that's a mindset. That's a culture. And on this defense, they're playing for Quinn, lights fucking out, exactly what they need to do. Everybody is in their position. Like we said, these were only 3. I think there was only 3 penalties tonight. So much good shit going on. We really, really got to feel good about this being the prospect of this being a pretty badass December, man, which is not something we've always enjoyed. It's always been God, maybe we're grasping a wild card. I think we've got our own destiny right in front of us. We can easily make this happen.
Aaron's breaking it down a little bit further here. He's saying that essentially Philly's got to lose another game, and if we win, against Philadelphia, we got that tie. If Philly's to lose another game, it looks like we'll be the winner. So if Philly doesn't lose and we win, it looks like apparently we may not win the division, but we still get a playoff berth in the wild card and probably see Philly likely in the playoffs, which could be even better because that's when it really matters. The whole season starts over in the playoffs. It's a tournament. It's win now or go home. All your record, it doesn't matter what you did all season. Once we get in the playoffs, baby, it's win or go home.
And that could be, and if you think about this too, like, all right, let's get OBJ on the team right now. Cool. And let's just shut up until it's time for this kid to come into the playoffs and maybe have him practice slowly and practice up to the point where he's going to be playing with us in the playoffs. Because I suggest, and I guess we're going to be in the playoffs. I'm willing to bet we are. And if that's the case, he's going to be in there to do that. But where's Washington in all of this, man? I want to see this kid come back more than anything. First of all, I want to see what James Washington can do before we start talking about it. But unfortunately, this OBJ decision is going to be made well before we see James Washington play a snap.
Yeah, he could be a casualty, especially when it comes to OBJ, but nobody's going to know. And so that's been your post-game report with Bob and BG here. The Dallas Cowboys 54-19 over the Colts. And, we got the Texans up next. So you got to be happy, Cowboy fans, especially after, us going back to week one, like I alluded to in the pregame show. Remember how you felt when Dak went down? I do. I said, damn, it's going to be another one of them years, maybe that 1-in-15 type of year or something. And then the Cooper Rush bus showed up and came along. And then here we are right now. What are we, 8-3, 9-3 now? Who would have thought?
That's
right?
pretty. Yeah.
Who would have thought?
That's kind of ridiculous, man.
Well, not for long, no fun league. I mean, however you want to call it, any given Sunday. I mean, because we've seen Taylor Heineke going to Philadelphia on a primetime game. They got to drink Busch Light on airplanes and actually knock off the undefeated Eagles. So with that being said, it ain't a tall order for us on Christmas Eve, especially if that team that played in that second half against the Colts shows up against, man, you don't think, man, Zeke, in case you didn't know, Zeke hates the Eagles. It's the team he hates the most. You got to start thinking about these players, and Dak, Dak's not going to want to lose to the Eagles. Dak hasn't, Dak is the daddy. He's going to want to show up with a big bag of gifts on Christmas Eve. But like I said, we can't talk about that game enough. We got to get through the Texans first. Then we got the Jags. But that's been your post-game report. You got any shout-outs before we get out of here, Bob?
No. Go Cowboys. That was a great game. Thank y'all so much for the support. And go check out Cultivating with the Cannabis Cowboy on YouTube. Give me a like and a subscribe.
Appreciate y'all tuning in. It's Bob and BG with the final post-game report on the Colts and the Cowboys. Cowboys over the Colts 54-19. Y'all been riding with us, baby. Y'all ride with us on the next one. We'll see you on the next episode.